Hello everyone, this is Ronnie, and on this channel I talk about my own my raw food journey, and talk about better health with raw vegan diet and other things like that. And on this video I want to talk about kinesiologists, and I want to talk about other practitioners in the natural alternative health movement that to me do a bad job or have a negative impact and a bad impact. For me personally, I think that you should stay away from kinesiologists 100%. So kinesiology, I don't know the history of where this came from, but it's essentially there's various body testing, and you put your hand out and you push and you do this, and like you take the grapes and you put them here against your solar plexus, and you put your hand out and they test your arm to see how strong you are, and you can't have grapes, you're weak. You can't, like, grapes are bad for you. Let's try apples. Oh, apples are bad for you. Salt. Oh, salt's good for you. You need more salt. Like, it's all nonsense. And it comes from this fake idea that your unconscious mind knows the truth about everything. That's nonsense. Or your body knows what it needs and all that. It's also nonsense. All of that is nonsense. You don't have some like higher power, mystical unconscious mind that knows everything and knows how to eat by signaling your body. I came across kinesiology years ago. I saw demonstrations of it. I think I maybe saw videos of it online. And then I had a friend who had a friend who came over to give this kinesiology reading for him. My friend Gareth, he was, I think he was probably like 6'3", maybe 6'4", tall guy, Welsh, built like a rugby player. And this guy was like, he was overweight, big, but he was very solid as well. Like when you felt his muscles were like very solid, like his body was really solid. He'd been a vegetarian for quite a long time. A very spiritual guy, into the spiritual stuff, and I was good friends with him. I've not seen him for a long time. So this lady came over, kinesiologist, and Gareth was getting dead into like raw foods and stuff. He's actually probably someone that inspired me into raw foods. You know, when I really think about it, he was kind of interested in that stuff as well, and eating healthier. And I think he kind of inspired me. I went further than him with it, but he was probably quite an important part of that journey that I've kind of forgotten about, really, and I've never really mentioned him, probably when I've told stories. But this lady came over, who was quite talented in a number of ways, but for some reason she decided to do this kinesiology thing. And tested them, and I was there when he was testing her, and I just really started to learn about the raw foods thing. And she says to him, she does this test on his hair or something, and she goes, "You need more protein." Now she knew he was a vegetarian, so it's not a big stretch. By the way, vegetarians certainly don't need more protein, probably have too much protein, and probably vegans have too much protein, and most people have too much protein. Only really fruitarians, raw vegans, have the correct level of protein in their diet, but a lot of people are trying to eat more protein because it's been marketed to them for many years. It's complete nonsense. I don't know why anyone thinks they need all this amount of protein, but anyway, I knew that was nonsense when she said that. There's no way Gareth doesn't have enough protein. Physically, it's obvious for a start. It's silly. There's no lack of protein in this guy. Or if you want to call that, if you want to say that you can tell it by muscle, which you can't really, but that's the conventional idea of what protein is, right? So there was no issue there. She also then advised him to eat more salt. Now, I'd just been learning about raw food diet. I'd been learning you don't need salt. People are eating way too much protein and don't need anywhere near that level of protein, right? So I'd been learning that, and I'm like, and I thought it was like At that time, I was naive enough to think that when you'd learned a real truth, that people would love to hear it. So I remember telling her, I've just learned that we actually don't need as much protein. What we need is amino acids from fruits and vegetables that our body converts into protein. So if we eat more raw foods that haven't been cooked, we get these amino acids in an undamaged form. We get plenty of them and we can create protein. And there's loads of raw vegan athletes to prove that. And I also said, we actually don't need salt. We need sodium, but we get sodium from fruits and vegetables. We don't need to consume salt, and salt's actually damaging. Of course, she wasn't really interested in hearing that, and probably to this day isn't interested in hearing that. I remember she had fibromyalgia at one point. Fibromyalgia, there's a couple of studies showing fibromyalgia does well with the raw food diet. But anyway, so that's what I saw happening with my friend, and I was like, this is total nonsense. She then did this with someone else, and it was kind of the same thing. She was telling people to eat more protein, more salt, like garbage information, garbage nutritional information. Of course, people like to hear that. Oh, more salt, more protein. Oh, yeah. If she'd said you need to become a vegan, they would have thrown her out. But more salt, they're just saying things that sound good to people. That's the problem with these people. They're not badly intentioned, but they're not very aligned towards truth. They're aligned towards what kind of works for them. And it's not that they do that consciously, I don't think, but it's something that evolves. It's kind of like people that sell supplements and things like that and scare people with this nonsense. They learn things that people are happy to hear. People are happy to hear that fruits and vegetables have no nutrition, so you should take supplements. People love to hear that. People don't want to hear you should eat more fruits and vegetables. That's why when I put truth out there, people sometimes run away, And even within the raw vegan community, I put truth out there that people don't want to hear. They want to hear this whole conspiracy, doctors are all bad, everything's all evil, and we need to all just jump into nature and stay away from all the man-made stuff. And I don't have this, and I don't believe organic's a big deal, and I say a lot of things that people don't like, but it's the truth. I don't have an interest in the conspiracy theories, and the thing is, once you've learned what marketing and propaganda is, and copywriting and persuasion and sales, once you understand that, you see it everywhere and you realize that's just marketing. You realize it's too convenient a storyline for it to be truth. It must be some form of marketing agenda, nonsense, persuasion stuff. And so you start to see through things a lot. And these alternative health practitioners and people, they might have created a little bit of a business that works for them, but they're not helping people with their health. They're not giving them the truth. They're not giving them the truth. I mean, that's the issue. Whether people, maybe they don't want the truth, but it's usually in the spiritual world, the alternative health world, that this kind of stuff circulates. And but I would say stay away from kinesiologists. They don't have good information. They certainly don't have good diet information. And the idea that you're unconscious or your body knows what to do and you just need to be able to communicate with it through your arms or something is not correct. If it was correct, then we'd see loads of people go to a truly healthy diet once they did that, and they don't. This is it's similar to a lot what happens in the medical world, where instead of just telling the person outright it's your diet and you have to go and change that, and there's no other solution to it, they get all sorts of therapies and drugs and stuff that helps them deal with these issues. But the problem is that people are happy to do that. They're busy, they've got so much stuff going on in their life, they're not ready to make a big commitment with their health. And that would be okay if we really had a solution to this, but everyone's avoiding the fact that the solution to so much of the world's problems is is for humanity to change its diet. Like, that is a huge, big improvement we can make to the world. It would actually work, right? So that's where we're at, I guess. Now, there's other red flags that go along with kinesiologists. I was in a conversation with someone that went to a kinesiologist. This kinesiologist is absolutely one of the most fraudulent sounding people I've ever heard. Tested her for things. Oh, you've got candida, you've got something. And here's the things that they'll say: you've got candida, adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, mercury poisoning, a bunch of other stuff like that. Every single one of those is like nonsense. It's not that you can't get candida. It's just you like, oh, when I have sugar, I feel bad. That's because you're like pre-diabetic. Like, that's not candida. You know, that's because you're 50, 60, 70 years old and you've eaten junk food all your life. Probably you're somewhere in the spectrum of quite close to diabetic or diabetic. And you need to change your diet to get rid of that. It's not the fruits problem. Oh, when I started to eat some healthy food for once and I feel weird. Yeah, because you've never eaten healthy food your entire life. And people don't want to accept that. You know? They don't want to accept that it's their fault. This is the problem as well with the government and with the coronavirus. The government can never come out and say it's your fault. Right? Because then people would go, well, why are we paying taxes or anything? Why would we bother doing any of this stuff? What purpose has the government got if we can just take care of ourselves? You know? So the government has to have some solution. The medical field has to have some solution, or people would say, well, why the hell are we coming to this hospital? What's the point if we can just change our diet? You know? So they need to have some kind of solution. But yeah, the most misdiagnosed things in the world, candida. The mercury poisoning thing is a whole crazy place of nonsense. Mercury amalgams do not cause mercury poisoning. I've seen smart people get all their mercury amalgam. Like, it's a waste of your time to go to the dentist and do that and get them replaced with what, silver or something, or plastic, or like, it's not making a big difference. If there is any mercury that's getting out of that into your mouth, it's so small that it makes no difference whatsoever. And if the person's continuing to put garbage into their body, what's the point? What is the point of getting all your amalgams removed? So I don't believe in that amalgams thing, but I've known a lot of smart people who have done it. And I don't know why they've done it. And people that have been teaching others about being healthy and all that, getting amalgams removed. I don't really get it. Basically, they've been sold it probably by a kinesiologist or something, or some person that likes to pretend they know something. Chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue. As soon as you hear these words, like, stay away. Run away from people that tell you that you've got adrenal fatigue. These are things that people want to hear. They don't want to hear, you've been putting garbage in your body, you've been irresponsible, it's your fault, and you need to change. Because people don't like the emotion of shame. Shame is an emotion of you personally feeling, realizing that you've done some actions, usually involving yourself, that are wrong, that are bad, that haven't taken you towards the best life for you. And so when that is exposed, when you realize it, you feel shame. And it's similar to guilt, but guilt is more about things you've done to other people, I think. You feel guilty for doing bad things to other people or whatever, but shame is more about you, personal. It's things that affect you, I think. Maybe not, but you have to feel shame. That's part of the process of you awakening to realise that you can make a difference to your life. and to your health. You have to look at where you're at right now and go, you know what? I've neglected myself. I've not exercised. I've not done this and that. But once you feel that emotion, feel it, process it, that's fine. You don't sit with it forever. It's just meant to catch your attention for long enough to you to actually go, right, I'll actually put some time and effort and energy into doing something better, into putting a plan together to do better. Your emotions are serving you. They're servants. But I hate hearing people that have spent hundreds of pounds in supplements, which is garbage. However, thousands in kinesiology people, and I don't know what they charge for. I don't know what they're giving people. Supplements, nonsense therapies, nonsense treatments, getting diagnosed with a lot of nonsense, and they're just people who are suffering from the standard diet. That's all they're suffering from, their crap diet. But will they change? No, they won't change. Most people will not change. You're lucky to find this. If you're doing this, you're completely lucky. So anyway, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. Put a comment below if you liked or didn't like the video, or what you thought about it, and so on. And I'll see you in the next one.